Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to the Grey Zone with Ali Manzoor, a show where we challenge assumptions, stereotypes, viewpoints on various complex issues, and hopefully foster critical thinking. Recently, especially after the Strait of Hormuz, there's been a lot of discussion about global food security and water security. The United Nations World Food Programme website states that 363 million people are at risk of acute hunger in 2025. Many argue that the 21st century will not be about wars on oil or resources, but may be well about food and water. So let's break it down further. Let's begin with water. Without water, there is no agriculture. Without agriculture, there is no food. And without food and water security, there is vulnerability to any nation's national security. So let's begin today's episode, which is named Food for Thought. Food security can be best defined as reliable access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food at affordable prices. Water security, on the other hand, is sustainable access to adequate quantities of water, of clean water for drinking, agriculture, industry, and sanitation. Let me give you a fun fact here. Average human being needs about 2 to 2.5 kgs of food daily and about 2 to 4 liters of water. Let's dive deeper. There are 4 principles or fundamental pillars of food security. First, availability, meaning is there enough food available to serve a population, be it via domestic production or imports. Second is access, meaning do people have the economic and physical means to obtain the food consistently? Third is utilization, meaning are people eating healthy and nutritious food for good health? Fourth is stability, meaning can a country maintain food security during emergencies, war, droughts, or even natural disasters? Having reviewed food security, let's review some of the components of water security. First off, availability. Is there sufficient quantity of water for drinking, agriculture, and daily human use? Second point is quality, which simply put means is the water clean, is it safe, and free from harmful pollutants and contamination. Third is accessibility, meaning can people, farms, industries, and others obtain water when they need it? Fourth is sustainability, meaning can a country provide enough water in long term without exhausting rivers, groundwater, and even ecosystems? Let me share a fun fact. Water and food security are deeply interconnected. Agriculture alone consumes nearly 70% of the world's fresh water. So the question that arises is, where does water come from? There are natural water sources, which include surface water, which is like lakes, rivers, and streams. There's groundwater, which is under the earth, usually accessed via wells and boreholes. There's rainfall that naturally helps replenish rivers and groundwater. Glaciers, frozen freshwater reserves, usually in the mountains. There are also artificial and technological sources of water. Desalination, a process by which seawater is turned into usable fresh water. Water recycling, cleaning used water so that it may be used again for agriculture, industry, and even drinking. Rainwater harvesting, by storing rainwater in reservoirs, tanks, underground tanks, and artificial pools. Okay, so let's review some of the causes of food and water insecurity. There's climate change, population growth, wars and conflict, overuse of groundwater or not recharging the wells. There's pollution. There's also poor governance, which is poor government policies or inconsistency in a government. So the question that arises is, how can countries improve food and water security? First, invest in climate-smart agriculture. Use drought-resistant crops, improve soil quality, and introduce precision farming. Also, work on techniques that you can produce more food using less water and less land. Second, improve irrigation systems. Replace flood irrigation with drip irrigation and reduce water wastage in agriculture. Third, Protect and manage groundwater. Regulate excessive extraction and recharge aquifers naturally. Prevent underground water reserves from collapsing. Fourth, expand desalination and water recycling. Convert seawater into fresh water and treat wastewater for reuse. This is especially important for water-scarce countries. Fifth, build food and water reserves. Emergency grain storage and water storage systems. Improve a country's resilience and be prepared especially for wars, droughts, or even crises. Sixth, reduce food wastage. Improve storage and transportation systems and modernize supply chains. Let me give you a fun fact here. Nearly 1/3 of the global food is wasted annually. Seventh, diversify food imports. Avoid dependence on one country or one supplier. Reduce vulnerability, especially during global disruptions like the ones we have currently in the Strait of Hormuz. Eighth, invest in infrastructure. Build dams, pipelines, reservoirs, and cold storage systems. Remember, strong infrastructure improves food and water distribution. Ninth, use technology and AI. Use satellite crop monitoring, predictive climate systems, and smart irrigation. Remember, technology increases efficiency and early warning capability as well. 10th, strengthen governance and policy. Implement long-term planning, sustainable water laws, and agriculture support policies. Good governance is often more important than natural resources themselves. So here are some of the countries leading in food and water security. Finland, Norway, Denmark, Netherlands, Switzerland, Canada, Sweden, Singapore, Japan, and New Zealand. So let's discuss some of the countries leading in food and water management. First off is Finland. They have strong emergency food reserves, resilient agriculture, and efficient water management. Norway, abundant freshwater resources, sustainable fisheries, and strong food import resilience. Denmark, advanced agricultural technology and global leadership in climate smart farming. Netherlands, precision agriculture and greenhouse farming make it the top global food exporter in the world. Switzerland, reliable freshwater access, strict food standards, and a very efficient infrastructure. Canada, vast freshwater reserves and enormous agricultural production capacity. Sweden, sustainable farming systems and strong environmental and water policies. Singapore, food import diversification, desalination, and world-leading water recycling systems. Japan, advanced agricultural technology and highly efficient food supply chains. New Zealand, abundant freshwater, fertile land, and resilient agricultural exports. Okay, let's review some of the countries facing severe food and water insecurity. There's Somalia, Yemen, Sudan, Afghanistan, Chad, Ethiopia, Haiti, Southern Sudan, Syria, and Democratic Republic of Congo. So let's review some of the countries with severe food and water related issues. First off, Somalia. Severe droughts, conflict, weak governance, and dependence on livestock and rain-fed agriculture have made Somalia one of the world's most food insecure countries. Yemen. Years of civil war, destroyed infrastructure, economic collapse, and blocked imports have pushed millions towards famine conditions. Sudan. Armed conflict, political instability, inflation, disrupted agricultural production have severely damaged food access and supply chains. Afghanistan. Economic collapse, droughts, international sanctions, and decades of conflict have created widespread hunger and humanitarian dependence. Chad. Extreme poverty, desertification, climate shocks, weak infrastructure have limited both agriculture production and food distribution. Ethiopia. Recurring droughts, Internal conflict, inflation, and displacement have intensified food shortages in several regions. Haiti. Political instability, gang violence, poverty, and heavy dependence on food imports have made food access increasingly difficult. South Sudan. Civil conflict, flooding, displacement, and poor infrastructure continue to disrupt farming and food delivery systems. Syria. War, economic collapse, damaged farmland, sanctions, and water shortages have devastated their national food production. Democratic Republic of Congo. Conflict, displacement, weak governance, and poor transportation infrastructure have contributed to chronic hunger despite vast natural resources. Alright, let's review the future of global stability. Let's first look at the emerging risks. There's water wars, there's climate related migration, there's crop failures, and supply chain collapse. But there are also emerging solutions. There's vertical farming, desalination technologies, AI agriculture or artificial intelligence agriculture, lab grown food, and smart cities. Let us hope and pray that leaders and the world in the future can come together to bring greater security, whether it is food or water-wise, and make the world a more peaceful and prosperous place. So before we conclude today, let us remember that food and water security is the fundamental to national security. And in the future, strongest nations will not be the ones with armies, but the ones that have the most secure food systems, the cleanest water, and the smartest resource management. Let us genuinely hope and pray for a peaceful and prosperous world, and for a world where there is ample food security and water availability for everyone. So that was it for the Grey Zone with Ali Manzoor this week. We'll be inshallah back next week with another episode. Until then, stay curious, stay critical, and keep asking questions. Because between the black and the white lies the grey.